Corporal Charles Kenneth Johnston from Clarendon, Texas, 1st Platoon, killed in action on November 5, 1967. Charles was 24 years old. Private First Class John Avery Rogers from Chattanooga, Tennessee, killed in action on January 19, 1968. John was 19 years old. Sergeant Robert Douglas Fulkerson from Texline, Texas, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on April 21, 1968. Robert was 26 years old. Private First Class Robert Lee Allam from Seattle, Washington, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on April 21, 1968. Robert was 20 years old. First Lieutenant David Kent Feller from Maplewood, Louisiana, 3rd Platoon, killed in action on April 30, 1968. David was 22 years old. Sergeant James Wayne Starkey from Campbell, California, killed in action on May 21, 1968. James was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Sidney McLean Connolly Jr. from Corpus Christi, Texas, killed in action on June 18, 1968. Sidney was 23 years old. Sergeant Randall Fillmore Swansea from Clarkston, Georgia, 1st Platoon, killed in action on July 19, 1968. Randall was 20 years old. Sergeant Michael Noel Hoban from Edmonds, Washington, 1st Platoon, killed in action on August 5, 1968. Michael was 21 years old. Private First Class Joel Mitchell LaRoche from Huntington Beach, California, killed in action on August 23, 1968. Joel was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Jeffrey Thompson Kramer from Cleveland, Ohio, 3rd Platoon, killed in action on August 25, 1968. Jeffrey was 21 years old. Staff Sergeant Eugene Costella Tibbs from Selman, Maryland, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on September 11, 1968. Eugene was 35 years old. Staff Sergeant Timothy James Murphy from Green Bay, Wisconsin, killed in action on October 17, 1968. Timothy was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Melvin Reed Jr. from Los Angeles, California, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on January 12, 1969. Melvin was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Donald Eugene Allen Jr. from Dover, Ohio, 1st Platoon, killed in action on January 21, 1969. Donald was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Ronaldo Souza from Alice, Texas, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on January 29, 1969. Ronaldo was 20 years old. Specialist 4th Class Harlan Merdine Kraft from Temple, Texas, 1st Platoon, killed in action on March 12, 1969. Harlan was 23 years old. Specialist 4th Class Gary Leslie Moore from Union, Kentucky, 1st Platoon, killed in action on March 12, 1969. Gary was 21 years old. Private First Class Gerald Douglas Anthony from Tullahoma, Tennessee, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on May 2, 1969. Gerald was 20 years old. Private First Class Eugene Gastelum from San Diego, California, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on May 2, 1969. Eugene was 19 years old. Sergeant Robert Laria Cowan III from Tulsa, Oklahoma, killed in action on May 12, 1969. Robert was 23 years old. Specialist 4th Class Dale Frazier Brown from Ashland City, Tennessee, 3rd Platoon, killed in action on May 17, 1969. Dale was 25 years old. Specialist 4th Class Jerry Lou Ewing from Madera, California, 3rd Platoon, killed in action on May 17, 1969. Jerry was 21 years old. Sergeant Mark Joseph Haverland Jr. from Poca, West Virginia, killed in action on May 21, 1969. Mark was 21 years old. Private First Class Patrick Anthony Russell from Savannah, Georgia, headquarters, killed in action on July 3, 1969. Patrick was 19 years old. Specialist 4th Class James Montgomery Withy from LaPorte, Indiana, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on July 4, 1969. James was 20 years old. Specialist 4th Class Dennis Stewart Cabe from Dillard, Georgia, headquarters, killed in action on July 22, 1969. Dennis was 21 years old. Corporal George Parnell Reed from Milan, Illinois, killed in action on December 29, 1969. George was 20 years old. Specialist 4th Class Frank Nunez Figueroa from Santa Ana, California, 1st Platoon, killed in action on February 22, 1970. Frank was 24 years old. Private 1st Class Frederick Eric Leopold from Norwood, Pennsylvania, 1st Platoon, killed in action on February 22, 1970. Frederick was 18 years old. Private 1st Class Dennis Philip Martin from Swedesboro, New Jersey, killed in action on February 22, 1970. Dennis was 21 years old. 1st Lieutenant John Wilson Roberts III from Baltimore, Maryland, 1st Platoon, killed in action on February 22, 1970. John was 24 years old. Private 1st Class Michael James Wagner from Watertown, Wisconsin, 1st Platoon, killed in action on February 22, 1970. Michael was 21 years old. Private 1st Class Russell Thomas LaFave from Manchester, New Hampshire, killed in action on April 1, 1970. Russell was 18 years old. Private 1st Class Dennis Lee Young from St. Louis, Missouri, killed in action on April 2, 1970. Dennis was 20 years old. Private 1st Class Harlan Eugene Daniels from Redding, California, killed in action on April 11, 1970. Harlan was 20 years old. Corporal Richard Lee Higginbotham from Scottsboro, Alabama, 1st Platoon, killed in action on April 11, 1970. Richard was 20 years old. Staff Sergeant Leo McEachern from St. Paul's, North Carolina, killed in action on April 11, 1970. Leo was 34 years old. Specialist 5th Class Henry Lee Burton from Lydia, South Carolina, killed in action on April 14, 1970. Henry was 21 years old. Specialist 4th Class Peter John Martinez Jr. from Chicago, Illinois, killed in action on May 5, 1970. Peter was 19 years old. Corporal Vernon Earl Schrock from Corvallis, Oregon, killed in action on May 26, 1970. Vernon was 20 years old. Corporal James Ted Fisher from Okanogan, Washington, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on May 28, 1970. James was 20 years old. Corporal Mark Durwood Pontius from Coral, Michigan, killed in action on May 31, 1970. Mark was 20 years old. First Lieutenant William David Bridge from New York, New York, killed in action on June 16, 1970. David was 23 years old. Corporal William Donald Chambly from Leisure City, Florida, killed in action on July 26, 1970. William was 18 years old. Specialist 4th Class Larry Joe Malatesta from Enumclaw, Washington, 3rd Platoon, killed in action on August 1, 1970. Larry was 21 years old. Private First Class Glenn Raymond Gilbert from Voorheesville, New York, killed in action on August 4, 1970. Glenn was 22 years old. Private First Class Jerome Raymond Frilling from Sydney, Ohio, killed in action on September 30, 1970. Jerome was 20 years old. Specialist 4th Class Lee Curtis Taylor from Sardis, Missouri, 2nd Platoon, killed in action on October 1, 1970. Lee was 22 years old. Specialist 4th Class Leverett E. Yarbrough from Atlanta, Georgia, 1st Platoon, killed in action on October 1, 1970. Leverett was 20 years old. Staff Sergeant General Dwayne Smith from Austin, Texas, killed in action on April 21, 1971. General was 25 years old. Specialist 4th Class Darrell Wade Taylor from Washington, D.C., killed in action on June 28, 1971. Darrell was 23 years old. Staff Sergeant Ronald Hugh Hall from Coleman, Alabama, killed in action on June 30, 1971. Ronald was 26 years old. Specialist 4th Class Woodrow Beale Chastain from Pickens, South Carolina, killed in action on August 15, 1971. Woodrow was 20 years old.
Fiddler's Green. Halfway down the trail to hell in a shady meadow green are the souls of all dead troopers camped near a good old-time canteen. And this eternal resting place is known as Fiddler's Green. Marching past, straight through to hell, the infantry are seen, accompanied by the engineers, artillery, and marines, for none but the shades of cavalrymen dismount at Fiddler's Green, though some go curving down the trail to seek a warmer scene. No trooper ever gets to hell ere he's emptied his canteen, and so rides back to drink again with friends at Fiddler's Green. And so when man and horse go down beneath a saber keen, or in a roaring charge of fierce melee you stop a bullet clean, and the hostiles come to get your scalp, just empty your canteen and go to Fiddler's Green.